So government is seeking to create about 1 million jobs to serve as an alternative for supporting young entrepreneurs to gain access to capital and technical support to launch and grow their own businesses. This initiative is dubbed YouStart. It's under the auspices of the Ghana Enterprises Agency, which will, among others, give district-level loans under 10,000 Ghana cedis after 2 to 3 months of training. So how will this work? I'm sure you have a lot of questions. I know I do. My guest this morning is Kosi Yankee Ayer. She is the CEO of the Ghana Enterprises Agency. Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome.
Thank you.
So, I mean, like I was telling you just before we started, the YouStart program is, I think, one thing that everybody is quite excited about in the budget. You know, because over the past few months, there have been a lot of stories. You're going to the newspapers, people can't find jobs. You know, people don't have capital. People are struggling to get loans. You know, it's been tough. So we're excited about it. But before I get into the details, if it's okay, do you want to just take us through exactly what, YouStart is about? And then the link to the Ghana Enterprises Agency. I mean, the first is how come it's under, the Ghana Enterprises Agency? And then, what is it really about?
Sure. So thank you once again for having us here. The Ghana Enterprises Agency was specifically set up and mandated to really implement the Ghana National MSME policy and entrepreneurship policy.
Okay.
And the idea behind that was to build a strong entrepreneurial economy, to figure out how to build MSMEs to grow and to be sustainable, and most importantly, to provide resources to build the MSMEs.
Okay.
The idea, again, is also based on the premise that if 80% of your economy is MSMEs, then you need to pay close attention to them. And also that these MSMEs are the engine for growth of any nation. Okay. So a lot of work has been done in building this dynamic Ghana Enterprises Agency by government to really lead in the implementation support. The YouStart program, which was in the budget through the Ministry of Finance, has been set up, and Ghana Enterprises Agency is an implementing partner for the program. It's one of the implementing partners.
Okay.
But the work that we seek to do and what YouStart has done is that the government of Ghana has designed a budget which states that it's going to support an entrepreneurial nation, a sustainable entrepreneurial nation, and has put the youth at the heart of the budget.
Okay.
Besides that, it's also looked at what ways are we going to build the youth at a time where globally, and it's not a current phenomenon, but now there's a close emphasis on trying to ensure that jobs are created for the youth, trying to ensure that youth can also start their businesses. So there are two things. It's the starting businesses, creating employment, and also building a stronger economy.
Okay.
And so the YouStart program really targets the youth to help them start businesses, create avenues for employment for other people, and supporting the economy's growth.
Okay.
And that's what we intend to do with the YouStart.
Okay.
Now, Ghana Enterprises Agency comes in this capacity to build the youth, because we also have the avenues and we have the resources to assist to do that.
Okay.
We currently have 190 business advisory centers and 37 business resource centers across the nation. And over the years, we've been trying and working strongly to build the needed support to the youth, to MSMEs, and to all Ghanaians who do have businesses. As you're aware, there's a challenge, right?
Yeah.
And the challenge is that a lot of youth, when they start businesses, don't have access to the resources. The financial institutions don't provide the opportunity for the youth to go in based on their criteria, and also because of what they've done fundamentally for a long time. And so this program is to create the opportunity for youth to get the resources and have access to tools and the needed capacity, so that they can also start and support the Ghanaian economy to grow bigger.
Okay, I mean, that sounds really good. I remember, I think it was two years ago or last year when I turned 38, I had a bit of a panic attack because I discovered that I think it's either the World Health Organization or the UN defines youth as 18 to 35.
Yes.
It's like, oh my God. Anyway, are we sticking to that definition so that we know, first of all, if you're not, not within that age bracket, if you're, then it's not accessible to you?
So I think that one of the things we need to realize that that's the definition. So the definition is up to 35 years old.
It should be revised because we're still very, very young.
You're young at heart. So as much as possible, that's the definition as to 35 years, trying to help them, trying to build them and grow them. And if you look at the census that was done, it used the same definition to show us the numbers as well. So as much as possible, it's within that. But I think it's important to note that it doesn't mean that if you are above 35 years, there are no resources, or if you have an MSME that is running, there's no resources for you, because I think that government has been able to do a lot of successful interventions in the past and will continue to do so. And even presently, we continue to do a lot. If you look at the Ghana Economic Transformation Program, SME support, government is supporting small and medium enterprises. We've been giving them access to funding. We're going to provide them with technical assistance next year as well to actually go into their businesses to provide them with support and the resources to grow these businesses so they can also create avenues for employment for other people, especially the youth of the nation.
Okay, so let's say, I've been reading through some of it. You have different categories. There's some for graduates. I'm not sure if there's some for people who have not graduated from university.
I think that one of the things, government has really been thoughtful. And if you remember when the Honorable Minister, Honorable Oforiatta, was speaking about the budget, he made it very clear. And I think one thing we need to know about the beauty of the YouStart program is that it doesn't focus on only one segment of the youth.
Yeah, there are different.
Yes, there are different segments. And I think we've been very thoughtful in bringing that to bear and bringing that at the forefront of even the discussions we've had. So there are different levels. There are those who are in universities or those who are graduated from universities. So the tertiary education, there are different types of tertiary education. There are those who've also graduated from vocational or technical schools who can also benefit. And you also see that there are those who have actually also graduated or left what do you call secondary schools or high schools or even JHS, right, who also need some form of support. And so there's an intentional effort to look at these different segments and provide targeted interventions to them.
Okay.
And it's all off the back that we need to be cognizant of some of the successes of the programs of the government, which is, if you look at the free SHS, the number of people who got the opportunity to go to school, which is a beautiful thing. It allows them to also have a new outlook on life. So those people would go to universities, some will go to technical and vocational schools, some might not, unfortunately, right? So what do you do with them? How do you provide opportunities for those people? So the YouStart program gives the opportunity for people, right, within different segments, the youth focus, to gain access to opportunities and resources to help build the nation sustainably.
Okay, so let's do a little bit of details, if that's fine with you.
Sure.
So let's say I'm let me see, I'm trying to think. Okay, I'm a 23-year-old electrician, for example, and I want to start, something little, getting, a group of my, neighborhood boys who maybe have just finished SHS, and trying to, get a group of people together, to kind of build something, do something. How do I approach, getting involved in this program? I think, and maybe I don't want to talk about the graduates as much because of the level of education, they can read the stuff and figure out, this is what I do,
easier.
So if you can address, that side of things. And then also, let's say there's somebody listening to us who is also saying, okay, this sounds like a good opportunity. Maybe I actually just want to start a factory or open something, get people to come and work. How do I get into that? And then I think, again, if you clarify the age thing for me, because in one of the provisions that YouStart has made, there's something about companies. So I think there's 100,000 for companies if you want to get equipment and stuff like that. Must it be a youth-led company or a youth-employed? Did you get what I mean? Company, they're two different things, so that people are quite clear about the target.
Sure. I think that one of the things, and I think the focus of the YouStart program is really looking at the youth,
Okay.
Right? So it's youth-started MSMEs, because there's some youth. I mean, you'd be amazed at some of the wonderful things some of the youth are doing across the nation. And so they might have started a business. They need a little push in terms of access to finance, access to capacity development, to move it to the next level. And so we will provide that kind of support for them. You also have those, as you mentioned, they've gone through technical or vocational school, they have a skill. And we realize that a lot in the work we're doing, that as we travel across the nation, as we go to various districts and towns, there are people who have a skill, right? And they want to use that skill. But to translate it into a business, you need a little bit of support. And what kind of support? Even having the entrepreneurial mindset. You might want to start a business, but where do I even start from? And so that's the kind of support we're going to come in and provide. So providing you with the support in terms of building your capacity, even teaching you about entrepreneurship, even changing your mindset about how you look at your business and building on that. Then moving on from there and saying that I've been able to learn something, I've been able to get the business advice I need. I'm going to start with a group of friends that I have, and then when that happens, I would need access to finance, to buy equipment, to support the work that we do. And so how do I do that? And that's where we come in as well, to provide all of that support. So you'd realize that it's a total continuum of providing support, not only at one stage and leaving it there, but it kind of rolls through to the very end, hand-holding, making sure you're being mentored, making sure we're following up to ensure the businesses are growing successfully, and helping you solve certain challenges that will come along the way. Because we all know if you've done entrepreneurship in some way, shape, or form, there will be challenges, but who do you turn to? So it's very interesting how the intervention is going to happen. But you know, one thing is that we're also going to take it to the doorsteps of the potential beneficiaries. So we're not going to sit at a high level place. We're not going to sit in Greater Accra or Accra and say that I'm going to support only Greater Accra or people in the city of Accra. But we're going to utilize our systems, and I think it's important to note, we've already reached out to some of the assemblies to give our support to come in and set up shop in the districts where we don't have offices. So we have 190 plus offices across the nation. And these offices are accessible to the youth.
Okay.
They're accessible to anyone, and they can walk in, get the needed supports that they want, get the needed information, and then build on it. Besides that as well, once we go live, there will be a technology platform where they can also go on to. And if they can't access it, there will be opportunity to get resources and build on it. So we're going to sensitize and work with the youth associations and youth groups as well. Go down to the level of them so that it's accessible at the district level to the people within the districts and the communities. So it's not so high level or not accessible or attainable, and something they see on TV or something they hear or talk about, but they're not being able to access it.
Okay.
And we've done that before, you know, and our institution and the implementing bodies we have under us actually have the support that they need to build them and grow with them.
Okay, so again, breaking it down to the details, already existing companies, new groups of people, already existing groups, who qualifies?
They all are qualified.
Everybody.
I think we need to realize one thing. If you look at the budget, as I mentioned, the center of it is the youth.
Okay, so it doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter
states per se.
Exactly.
Okay.
Right? And a lot of our sensitization would also sensitize and conscientize people to start thinking about business, to start thinking about entrepreneurship, to start building businesses that employ people and employ the youth, to start thinking about how they already have existing businesses and to grow those businesses, to turn them into the future, let's say Dangotes of the world, the future, if you look at Ghana, Kwame Despites of the world, how do you groom these people and prepare them for that future? And that's what the YouStart wants to do, to start that process and to spark the change and get Ghanaians to rally behind it and see that this is ours and this is how I became this great business in the future.
Okay, so I'm thinking about, you know, this may be a random 19-year-old or 20-year-old SHS leaver who, you know, maybe has saved let's say he's managed to save maybe about 3,500 cedis, he didn't do too well, so it's thinking, okay, I'm going to have to write Wasi again and again, and it's thinking, okay, maybe, my area has a lot of rubbish, I want to buy an aboboya, and maybe start collecting rubbish, and kind of get into a business like that. Is that something that YouStart would support? And the technicality, so looking at some of the youth, I mean, in Accra, it's easier to see youth who are much more educated, much more exposed and all of that. Are they going to need to have registered their companies or to have registered themselves as sole, I can't remember what that is, but are those technicalities going to need to be fulfilled for people to access the program?
No, I think it's important to note that they don't need to have failed it to come and partake in the program. And as I mentioned, there are different segments of youth.
Okay.
Besides looking at the youth in terms of those who maybe have some form of education, those who don't have it but are within the youth category, there are those who have also finished university. There's also the category of those who have started their business and those who have not started, and those who are doing it in the informal stage and want to formalize it. So there are different categories to it. So as much as possible, what YouStart wants to do is to actually make sure that those businesses are running, that those businesses are strong. If you have an idea and you don't know how to take it forward, we come in and provide you with the needed support to move it forward, to actually, as I mentioned, to conscientize you about how to run a business, how to be profitable, how to ensure you're dealing with the various challenges and also becoming successful. So there's no hindrance, right?
Okay.
And so that is why we've also been intentional in how the rollout would be, the implementing partners that would support the program as much as possible. There's a conversation of there's GEA, there's NEIP, there's the universities. So there are a lot of different parties and players.
Maybe we should talk about the rollout and the implement. Maybe if we start talking about that, then it'll be clearer on how the process is going to be like. So do you have all those details already?
So we do to a large extent. I think in the budget, once the budget is finalized, the appropriations are all finalized and everything else is done. Then immediately next year, I think the Minister of Finance was very clear in the direction in terms of from March, there's the possibility to even pilot before then if the opportunity comes up, and as much as possible to roll it out. Once that is done, I mean, there's a lot of work that happens in the background, which has been done, some are ongoing, and as much as possible to build the processes so that, as I mentioned, to make it more accessible to as many people as possible. And as we've been talking about, I know one of the fears that you have and a lot of people have is, will I be able to, I live in some place outside of Accra. It could be beyond in Sawom, it could be Takwa, it could be in Bole Bamboy, someplace, right? So how do I access this? And the opportunity to either utilize our business advisory centers, to utilize the business resource centers, to use technology to also reach the people is what we seek and intend to do. And through that process, and before we get there, we would have done our sensitization, done some form of needs assessments, worked with some of the association and faith-based organizations as well, because the youth are concentrated and centered around that, so that people know and are able to assess the opportunity.
I mean, that sounds really good. Especially, they're working with the different agencies, because as you were talking and women multitask, so I was listening and also thinking. I met this young girl last week. I think she's about 17, lost both parents. So what she does is sleeps in the church, so she'll kind of hang around, how do I put it? There's no formal support. There's nobody to really, but I mean, she has a passion. She loves to cook, would love to have, some little space, and set up something, little and stuff. And when I hear programs like this, I'm hoping that people like that will be able to have access to. So if this young girl, found her way to one of the centers, she doesn't have anything. Nothing. Is YouStart offering a support system that enables the absolutely we have nothing people, youth, to do some. I don't know if I'm getting.
I know where you're. I know where you're going, and I think that we've been doing that the past 4 years. We've done that.
Okay.
So I took up an institution with barely anything to move the work we were doing forward, but government was very intentional in really saying that how do we build our youth? How do we build MSMEs? And you would be surprised that we've been able to target over 600,000 people in those years. And it's not in Accra, it's not 600,000 people. It's 600,000 people and businesses across the entire nation that we've provided support to. They're businesses that we've created, right? Over 20,000 plus. Most of them are youth. Even in our CAP business support intervention, 40% of the beneficiaries were youth.
Okay.
So out of the 300,000 people we provided support to, 40% of them were youth. 60+% of them were women. So you realize that the intervention does not isolate and does not neglect or take people out.
Okay.
The intervention is really to get to the people.
Okay.
And we've done it before. And we will do it better. Okay. Right? You can only get better and you get bolder at what you're doing. And so as much as possible, it's taking the work we've been doing and actually strengthening it and putting the youth at the center of it. Okay. And I said the last time, the youth is our greatest asset. And so how do you support them? So this woman sleeping in the church, and that's why we're bringing the faith-based organizations as well, because they also have access to the youth. Yeah. They have access to support them and work with government, so that it's not only seen as a government initiative, but it's seen as a general Ghanaian initiative that focuses on building the youth to help them grow across the nation without being isolated from the program.
Okay. I keep on saying, I love the sound of it. And I'm really hopeful that it would, touch people, because people are struggling, especially the young people. So I saw there was a section of the allocations where, the money kind of gets bigger. So 100,000 to 400,000, and again, another fear that has been expressed is how, I think it's in the Bible or something, how the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. And so people who are already in a position of goodness on one side will be better able to access. And I know that it also seems like I keep on asking you the same question but in different forms. But, I mean, how do you then make yourself eligible to get the most? So I think I'm kind of asking like the backdoor question now, like, how do you create, people are listening to us. You have a group of 15, 20 people, that you can put together. You know that if you could set up something, it would be great. They would work, they would be off the streets and stuff. How do you position yourself so that by March, when this is ready to go, you're in the best place to get the most out of this program?
I think it's, if you pay attention to the interventions we've done across the nation, it hasn't benefited the rich. It has benefited those who actually have ideas and those who need it the most.
Okay.
Right? And that's what we intend to do. And that's the importance of actually the transformation into the Ghana Enterprises Agency.
Yeah.
And the strong push for decentralization with our business advisory centers across the nation so they become one-stop shop for business development. What I always say, and I see in our interventions, is that people always come and say, I'm not sure if I will get it, and so I will not apply.
Yeah. Okay.
Right? And that's the challenge. The first challenge is not taking the first bold step.
To apply.
Right? Or asking, or doing it, or seeking it. So the same Bible you quoted also talks about if you seek, you will find.
Of course.
If you ask, you shall be given.
Yeah.
So if you're not asking and you're not seeking, then you're not going to find it. Obviously. And you're not going to get it.
At all.
And we get a lot of those challenges where people come in and say, oh, I did not hear about it, or I heard about it, I did not believe it, and so I did not apply. But now my neighbor did it, she knows no one, she's received it, and so I want to be part of it. And it's too late, right? So I always tell people, and that's the advice I'm going to give, as much as possible, if you hear of any government intervention, apply for it.
Yeah.
If you think you are, you can get it, you're eligible, if you feel like you deserve it, apply for it. Then worry about everything else later.
After the application.
Right? But if you don't apply for it, or you sit back and say, they already know who they're going to give it to, then you've actually shortchanged yourself because you're not even part of the game. The competition is over. There's a competition. Apply for it. Try and allow people to make decisions. So as much as possible, my advice to people is that go out there, and if the portal's open and you pay attention, apply for it. Put in your best. Put in your best foot forward. Put your best foot forward. Then we will then come in with a team and actually do the assessments and move it to the next level. But don't just sit back and say that it's for. Because think about it. Who knows 1 million people? Do you know 1 million people?
No, I don't.
I don't even think I know 5,000 people.
No.
So yes, so you have to make sure that people are applying, because at least there will be someone in who will be, you have to pay attention to that. And that's my biggest worry, and that's what I sensitize the youth about. Take that bold step. Do it.
Okay, well, take the bold step and do it. So before, people get overly excited. This is not money that's being dashed. So it's loans. Because I was even getting excited, and then
you should get excited.
No, it suddenly just hit me that you have to pay back. It's not free money.
You should get excited about it, and we shouldn't say that because it's not free money, it's not exciting.
Well, it's exciting, but you are mindful.
Because then now you would think about your business idea better. So it is a soft loan, right? It's a soft touch. So we're not trying to break your business. We're trying to grow with you. And actually, it's important to know that it's actually been made a soft loan so that we build the culture of discipline. We build a culture of actually being able to manage the affairs of our finances and to grow it. And I think it's important. One thing I realize in our interventions, those who actually take the soft loans from the institution have this new refined confidence, and it's a form of dignity building that I did it myself. It was not handed over to me, and that's what we hope to do. We want to build a strong, confident youth that say, they can hit their chest and say,
I did it.
I did this myself. I took out some soft loan, I got support, and I have built this myself from the ground up. So it is not unfortunate. It's a beautiful thing. And psychologically, it builds on your strength, your confidence, your dignity as a human being, that you're not only taking handouts, but you're actually building yourself.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you on that. The only problem is well, I'm not going to get into our educational system, but the only problem is that a lot of our youth are also timid. And so, and I'm sure you'll factor that into your sensitization. And so there's the fear of failure. There's the fear of owing. I can imagine somebody say, okay, you know what, I have enough, I eat every day, I don't owe anybody, I don't want any problems, and suddenly, okay, I have this soft loan that I have to pay back. There's definitely, there are those who are outright, but there definitely be people who will have their reservations.
Yes, I think that if you look at it purely from only a financing position, then you have that. So in this whole YouStart conversation, I think we haven't even factored, or we haven't talked about it here on this platform, but there are some people who don't need the financing.
They just
and might
need
only
the support.
need the support. They might need the access, right? They might just need the capacity building, and that's what we intend to do.
Okay.
So I think that all of this analysis will be done. You don't automatically get a loan because you don't need it, but you're in the program. But it's built of, maybe I don't need it, and I just want to build this. And so there's a whole mindset shift that the training kind of brings on board. There's also a whole new dynamic of having to go out, because you're going to role play the position. You're going to have the opportunity to see other people at it. You're going to have role models. You're going to have mentors, all of them coming to the table to help and work with you.
How are you putting all of those people together?
We've been working with them. I think the most important thing is that when you design a program, and you design the framework that goes around it, you identify the stakeholders who will build and work with you. And so you build them all into the program and work with them. And then you bring on board various partners who will mentor it. And it's all about planning and actually being disciplined and diligent in implementing the plan you have. We've done certain similar programs as well, which have been very successful. Government, through Ghana Enterprises Agency, has implemented the MasterCard Foundation programs, SNV, GIZ, a lot of interventions. And we've been very intentional in seeing that what is it that the people need and what have people utilized and made them successful. And so we build around it, and then we grow with them as much as possible.
Okay, so apart from the money, There's also the support.
Yes.
There's the mentorship.
Yes.
There's the training. So it's like a 360, we're going to help you succeed at this thing.
That's what we want to do. You've got it right.
That's what
we're going to make you succeed, and what will it take? And as I said, it could be money, it could be entrepreneurial support, capacity development, access to regulatory support, and that's what it is. And I'll give you an example. Yesterday, I was invited to a program by a partner, and they were training people, not only specifically youth. They're training about 40 people in advanced cosmetics and, how to design and develop programs and products. And I got there, and it was very interesting, and a lot of them were very excited to see me. I'd never met them before. And out of the 40 people, at least 70% had benefited from our programs, which is amazing.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And I said to them, why don't you talk about it? Why don't you tell people that if you go to the business advisory centers, you have support, you have access, and it's not only about financing, because people want to always look at you through the lens of financing. But there were people who had been trying to get Food and Drugs Authority certification for years, and they had come to us, and due to our partnership with the FDA, they've been able to, for the first time in many years, get certification for their products. One woman talked about how she's been able to access more markets now. Someone talked about how they've been able to employ more people because they had better certification, and now they could sell their products in more shops. They had expanded. So there were beautiful conversations coming out. Some said, oh, I didn't get financing, but that's not what I needed. Some got financing. They said, but we've paid back. So there's a whole lot happening. And so it's not just about that. And now what we are saying is that let's hone down on the youth.
Okay.
Right? And let's build the youth.
Yeah. I'm interested in your partners now, because as soon as I heard, your partners with the FDA, then I got excited, because I'm like, okay, so there's really real life support. A lot of times, you have conversations with institutions or people, and those are about, oh, there's support. But we know how Ghana is. We know that there's bureaucracy, there's things that can just tie you, and then, so it's exciting here. Okay, if I'm doing this with you and I need support, with how to get my FDA certification, all of that will be made available. So who are some of your other partners? So
I think first we need to disabuse our minds of that, how Ghana is.
Yeah, but it is like that.
It is not. I think that for lack of knowledge, some people do perish.
Well, yeah, but then the knowledge is not available to everyone. Because
but you have to seek it. You have to seek it, right?
Yeah.
You need to seek. I think that we need to be proactive as well. I have to be proactive. Sometimes I sit back and say, how am I going to do this? Do I need to pay somebody to do it, or can I go and do it? So I think, one, we need to seek it, and two, we also as institutions have to also provide the information and make it clear. I think youth employment challenges is a global phenomenon. It's not a Ghana specific. And especially also public sector institutions around the world is bureaucratic because of public financial management challenge. There's so many things that you're guarded by. So you have to be structured in that way. So yes, in some institutions, some might be overly bureaucratic, but it's because the system has to make sure that we become more accountable as well. So I think that we need to take our minds off that, because once we keep saying, oh, it's so difficult and hard, then we don't even take the first bold step. So we also have the opportunities to build on things. For the first time in 1 year, over 1,000 products were certified by FDA in partnership with us. That's a lot of products.
Which is good, yeah.
Right? And so if you go to any of our business advisory centers or work with Ghana Enterprises Agency, we have partnership with Food and Drugs Authority. If you're an SME and you register with the Ghana Enterprises Agency as well, you get a discount at the Ghana Standards Authority, and people use it.
Do we need to do all those things? Register with the Ghana Enterprise Agency, go to registered departments. Are those things requirements? Do we have to do those things?
No, they are not requirements.
Okay.
It's up to you, right?
Okay.
To actually be part of the network of the Ghana Enterprises Agency.
But
if you're not even part of it, and we have general national programs, we put it out there for Ghanaians to do it. And there are people who just walk, and there's not a particular person who has to be part of the network of the Ghana Enterprises Agency. You can just walk into any of the offices. And as I mentioned yesterday's program, one woman said, I didn't know about you. I'd heard from a friend that they had actually received certification through FDA for their food products. So I walked into one, and I also have mine. And for the first time, I've been able to do this.
Yeah.
You know, but if you sit back and you say, oh my goodness, it's such a challenge, it's so bureaucratic, then you're actually doing yourself a disservice. But then the feedback for us is also to try as much as possible to have a very a stronger human face to the work we do.
Yeah.
But let's not say, you know, Ghana is hard. Let's try to, because you speak life into what you have. You started with the Bible quote.
But Ghana is hard, though.
Ghana is hard.
Ghana is hard.
Well, everywhere is hard.
Yeah, no, but that's true. Everywhere is hard. Yeah, everywhere
right?
is,
and it's also easy
hard
for some people,
right?
And
Yeah.
it's also good for people, and it's also, there's an opportunity for us to work together. And that's why it's important for us to support each other.
Of course.
Right? And that's why these conversations are important. So we bring to light some of the things we're doing, where people can access things, and not just say, oh my goodness, it is hard. It is available.
It's available.
But if you don't go, you can't access
Yeah.
it. You can't also sit at home and say, it is hard.
Yeah, no, you can't. You definitely have to step out. But I'll just say this before I let you go, that I'm looking forward to this. I've had conversations with a lot of different people who are looking forward to this. I met a group of young men who are kind of, okay, yeah, we want to do this. Like,
great.
So, you know, make sure you ask this question or ask this question, you know, because
Yes.
it's exciting. But I think the education, the sensitization, just like what you said to me this morning, you know, about the fact that these things are available. Sometimes those who really need it don't know.
That's what you think. Maybe they have it, but they don't tell you.
Well,
One thing I've realized is that people don't talk about things as much as they should. So you realize that people get opportunity and they don't talk about it. And that's how we are. You know, we're very, as humans, we just say, okay, let me just do my thing. I've got it. Let me be in my corner.
Yeah,
so as much as possible, we also need people who benefit, and a lot of people benefit, to come out and share.
And share their
and
stories.
share it as well, so that people will know. So it's about sharing. Like this whole program, this YouStart is sharing and caring and building a strong national economy for us.
Well, thank you so much for joining us
Thank you.
this morning. I'm sure we'll have you on in the next few months as this, you know, starts to be rolled out before March. Our guest, Kosi Yankee, CEO of Ghana Enterprises Agency. We're taking a quick break, and when we come back, we'll be talking about CSIR and its Actuate initiative. Don't go anywhere.